Okay, we want to get to the voucher and action plan portion of the program now. So we're going to deal with the policy and procedures of voucher requisition form processing, electronic voucher processing, and action plans. And please note that all request forms from ministries are handled using the FIFO method, first in, first out. Our goal is to be consistent with how we address all ministries. So there is no favoritism shown to one ministry or the other, or one commission or the other. We go based off of the process, and that's how we approve or not approve your event or activity, or your request forms. Um, Sister Jennifer, she made sure that she kept saying to plan in advance, and I wanted to touch bases on that as well, going with the FIFO method. And I just wanted to have you guys to think of your personal life. Think of your job, your kids, getting kids to school, and what the responsibilities may fall on you guys from, and your ministry responsibilities. You need notice in order to plan and attend events and activities for ministry or school or work or what have you. You want to make sure that everything works together in one way or another. And one day or 1 hour's notice to play a part in a program or activity or even to attend, you can't just do it, on a day's notice or hour's notice. Most times you can't do it. And so we want you to think of that in the same way you think of your ministry service here at the church, and how what you expect from the ministry office. And so when you submit your request forms, think of the other components that go with it. There are 80 other ministries that submit vouchers and request forms and action plans that we all have to review and make sure it goes well on the calendar, or make sure that we can get it over to the business office and they can process it. So you keep those things in mind, and that's why we've established the time frames that will work appropriately. So when you plan in advance, plan based on the time frame given to you guys with the request forms and vouchers, because it'll be helpful. It will be less stressful for you all and definitely less stressful for us. Okay. The voucher requisition is a 4-part voucher requisition form, which is used to request the release of funds from the church. And I have attached, you guys should have a packet of information. I have attached the voucher. It's actually attached to the electronic voucher portion, and it's at the bottom here. So this is it's a copy of what the hard copy looks like. It's actually a carbon copy voucher. So there are like a white, a yellow, pink, and a gold copy that comes with it that you can give to your commissioner, that you keep for yourself, that goes to the ministry office, and that also goes to the business office when it comes in. More so now, more persons are using the electronic voucher system, which is a lot more easier to use. It's a lot easier for the commissioners as well to be able to approve versus having to come up to the church and do it. But the hard copy is still an option. It's not, electronic voucher isn't mandatory to do. You still have the option of doing the hard copy voucher as well. Okay. And here's another picture of it as well. Okay. Advances for purchases. Advances for purchases must be pre-approved by your commissioner before purchasing anything. A lot of people will, if they need something for their ministry, they feel, okay, I'll just go out and purchase it and then get reimbursed later, but you don't have to do that. You can always, if you're planning ahead and you're planning properly, you can always put in the information and have a check cut to you guys, so you don't have to use your personal funds, but you'll still be using the church funds that are given to you within reason. You just have to get pre-approved and and I'll show you later what the memo and everything will look like. You have to make sure a memo to file is attached to the voucher, and this would include the line-by-line estimate of your purchases that you'd like to make. Once approved and after using funds, an expense report form, receipts, and excess funds must be turned into the business office, and a copy given to the Director of Ministries and Outreach Office. Here's one of the sample memos. This one is just for a person who will be doing the service. So what, like an honorarium for a person who is doing the service for your ministry. This is how you would, sample. This is a sample of what that memo will look like. And you just make sure you put that it's to Reverend Clark, and Brother Lamont Woodbury is the church accountant here at the church. And then it'd be from you all, of course, the date and the subject, the request for payment for whomever. The other sample, this is a sample of the estimates that you would do if you needed to get something, like for instance, we just had the Holy Harvest Night. And so with that, she may needed to get candy or something in advance. And some of those things, there is like Oriental trading, but some items you can't get online, and you can't get a check and have a check made out to that person. And so that's why you need to get in advance in order to go to a dollar store, Dollar Tree, or something small, a small business, to get those items that you need in order to have it for your ministry. The only thing we ask is that you complete a memo that would show what you are planning to, get, whether it's candy or cake or what have you. And this way it shows your commissioner what you're getting, and they can approve those things. And of course, we know it's not the exact amount of money you're going to spend, but it gives us an estimate for you guys to stay within and reason with. And so we'll submit that check to you. And then once you get the check, and you spend the funds for that check, then you'll have to complete an expense report form after you spent those funds for the advance. And this is good for auditing purposes here. We get audited here at the church. And so when the auditor comes and they're going through our files and they see that we advanced Gretchen $1,000 or $10,000 for whatever, the reason is, they're going to also want to see the backup and support for what was spent for that. So that's why this document becomes important, because we want to make sure that we have all of our files in place with that. And you'll see here, I've also attached a hard copy of that in your folder as well. But you'll see on that form where it asks you like the date and the expenses that you incurred. And at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see where you can list your total expenses. Every now and again, which you may end up spending over, or you may spend under. You may not spend the exact amount. As I said, this is an estimate, so it's not accurate. We just need you to list those things there of what you spent. And if you're going to if you need funds back because you spent over, then you'll have to complete a voucher to go along with the expense report form, because you have to get paid, for what you have to get reimbursed for what you spent out. So just keep that in mind. And we tried to spell everything out on the form so you guys will know. Okay. Credit card purchases. A check is preferred for vendors, but as I said earlier, there are some a check is preferred, but in some cases, they won't accept the checks for certain vendors, like Oriental Trading or Amazon or Walmart. You can't give them a check. So some of those purchases may need to be completed with a credit card. You guys don't have to use your own credit card to make the purchases. You can, when you complete the voucher, what you'll have to do is attach a copy of your shopping cart. And what we ask for you all to do is go all the way through until you get to the taxes and shipping information, so that information can be included as well. You can print it and attach it to your hard copy voucher, or you can print it so you can scan it or save it as a JPEG or a PDF file so that you can attach with your voucher when you submit it, so that when we get it, we can go online and we can make the purchase for you. If you have accounts that are set up for Amazon or Walmart or Oriental Trading, when you submit your voucher, you'll see later with the electronic voucher process that you have the option to put that information there. We need the account information so we can go in. That way, when it comes to me, if you have 25 items, I don't have to sit there and put all of those things in the shopping cart and make sure I have everything. Then I don't risk losing or missing out on something that you have written there. And you get everything you need. I don't miss out on if you had a specific way of shipping it out. All those details will be already in your account and in your shopping cart. So when you send that information, that's all I'm using it for. I'm just using it to go in and pay for your order. And I'm very good with sending you the confirmations and everything you need for it. And again, this option, the credit card option, is only available if a credit card is the only accepted method of payment. The process is still the same. You must submit a voucher. As I said earlier, the shopping cart or invoice should be attached. It must be approved by your commissioner and come through the Director of Ministries and Outreach Office. And 14 days are required for processing. Okay, voucher requisitions, that includes a contract. All contracts must be reviewed and signed by the Director of Ministries and Outreach Office. All contracts must be submitted to the Director of Ministries and Outreach Office along with the voucher at least 14 business days prior to the contract's due date. Prior to the date the contract is due. All contracts must be submitted with commissioner-approved voucher. The 14 business days allows that if the contract comes through and we have to have it looked over by the general council, we have that time to send it to the church's general council, church council, in order to review it and give us feedback to make sure that the church doesn't face any risk or liability or problems with that contract, that nothing falls back on us. So that's what the general counsel would do. Once he reviews it, then he sends the feedback to us, and we will reach out to the vendor and let them know if there are changes, which there are times where there are changes that need to be made. So then we'll reach back out to the vendor and let the vendor know these are the changes that we're asking to be made, and if they can't make it, then we go from there. But we're always communicating with you all to let you know where we are in that process. So we'll let you know that it wasn't approved because the vendor didn't want to make the changes. So you may want to look back. You may want to look into another vendor to get what you need from that person. Mm-hmm.
So in our cases, I see it's 14 business days. You said when we're trying to do events, sometimes it's less than that 14 business days. So what do we do it from the vendor? Like
Right.
the contract was saying 10 days, which we know here is 14 days. What do we do about instances like that?
Well, see, we can push the vendors, and I've done it often, quite honestly. If they want the business, they'll be motivated to extend the due date or the contract due date. And I've seen it happen all the time, quite honestly, because they want Reid Temple as a client, because it's repeating. All I need to say to them is, if we got 80 ministries, they possibly could come back to you, especially for, the typical, if it's decorations, chairs, design, whatever the service is, we can push the business.
Sometimes you go online, say you go to Oriental Trading Company, you put everything in your shopping cart, and then they expect you to pay. Now, if I log off, everything is lost, so how would I be able to send it to Sister Price so that it can be paid?
Okay.
Well, if it in those cases with some vendors where it is that way, then I have to go based off of what you scan and send to me, and I have to put that in there. But what I'm saying is that if you do have an account, Oriental Trading do, if you sign up and you have an account, I believe they keep it up to like 48 hours to a week or something like that. I can't remember, but they'll keep your card there for you to come back and make payment on it. So when I get it, usually, I mean, in all honesty, usually once I get the approval from your commissioner, I usually turn it around the same day. So if I don't turn around that day, that means we have up to 2 business days to do it, but I usually turn it around the same day, especially since most of you guys, and you should let me know those things as well. Communication is key. Sometimes when you go in, it may be a sale going on for that item. So you need to communicate with your commissioner. So when you send it and you know it's urgent because you're going to miss that sale and that price to fit in, then you need to reach out to your commissioner and say, hey, I'm submitting this voucher. This is a sale that ends such and such date. So we really need to get this through. Your commissioner can then send it directly to me, and you have those instructions there that it is urgent because you don't want to miss the sale or you don't want to lose the item. Because what we've had happen as well is that once it gets to me, the item may no longer be in stock. And so then you miss out on something that you needed for your event, or you have to go out and do more research, and it may cost you more to go through this other vendor than it did with that particular one. So it's just communicate with your commissioner before it comes to us. Okay. Reimbursements. Ministry activities should not be paid out of pocket without prior approval. And this, paying out of pocket, it circumvents the existing prior approval system and internal control process. Also, it does not help foster the discipline of planning. So when you go out and you get something for your event before getting it approved by your commissioner, what some people may do, you may spend more than what you have left over in your budget. You may spend more than what was approved for that, because we do budget planning, and in your budget planning, you put a detail together of what you're going to spend for that event or activity, and based off of that, that's how your budget is being approved. And so if you go out and you purchase something before your commissioner approves it, and then you come back and you want to get reimbursed, I mean, we try to accommodate it if it falls within reason. But if it doesn't fall within reason and you don't get your money back, then that's going to be a problem. And then most people would look at us as the problem when they were wrong for going out and doing it in that way in the first place. So that circumvents the process, and it causes more issues than is necessary. So just make sure that when you guys are going to the stores, or if you need to purchase something for your event, even if it's just a quick email, hey, Brother Brian, I need to run out and get this. Am I approved to get this? It's going to cost this amount of money. This is what I need to get. And then when you submit your voucher, you just submit all that stuff with it as well to show that it was approved beforehand. And with the credit card purchasing now, I think it helps actually with us now having a credit card to be able to make the purchases in the office, because in the past, what most persons were doing is those Amazon orders or Oriental Trading orders, some persons were actually paying out of pocket, and it wasn't, $500 or $100. It was expensive to have to pay and put it on your personal credit card or debit card. So now with this option of the credit card, if you can send the information in time, we can take care of it for you. And that eliminates the reimbursements. It eliminates you having to keep the receipts together and turn everything in and submit everything to get reimbursed. It eliminates you being inconvenienced for what you can do because you don't have the funds to do it because you just spent it out on church events. It eliminates hassling us to get a check to you the same day that you put your voucher in because you spent the money out. So when you do spend your money, keep in mind that there is a process. And so when you submit your voucher, that's when you're going to get your money back. You're not going to get it just because you spent $2,000 on this day and it was for ministry and we need to turn it around because you spent your personal funds. It's still a process when you submit a voucher, and it goes based off of this voucher processing requirements. Okay. Yeah, it
not
doesn't
sure
know what it
what's
wants to
going
do.
on. I mean, we set it at a reasonable temperature, but then it seems to get warm, and then when we try to reduce it, it's getting colder, and I apologize. I think I'm trying to put a small crack in the door.
Mm-hmm.
To see. Okay.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared.
You good? You good, man? You good? Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna say you're all right. You all right? Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So voucher requisitions for like persons needing honorariums or doing a service to the church, individual vendors. There's a W-9 policy that we are reinforcing on behalf of the business office, and that policy is that W-9 forms are required to be completed by persons receiving funds from the church for services rendered per the business office. They must be completed with the submission of the voucher request form. A 1099 income tax document will be given to persons that have received $600 or more. Persons with LLC or Inc. status, incorporated status, are not required to submit a W-9. If a W-9 is not on file with the business office, one is required before the check is released. And I've been very diligent in communicating with you all. Once I receive it, I check with the business office to see if that person has a W-9 on file. If there's no W-9 on file, then I will respond to you all. Once I process the voucher, I'll still process it. But in my confirmation email after processing the voucher, I'll let you all know that there was no W-9 form on file. I will attach the W-9 form that needs to be completed and let you know that once we receive it, then we will release the check to you all. So you won't get the check until we get that on file, because what we have are a lot of persons who don't want to do it for personal reasons. They don't want to do it, or they just don't really understand it. And so that form requires you to put your social security number down. And a lot of persons are very reluctant to put their social security numbers down and give that to people. So we have to put that in place, not to give the check out to the person until they actually, give that to us. And you can communicate that with your vendor or, the speaker or whomever before they render the services that is necessary. So when you're doing it, you can always call before you send it in as well to say, is this person's W-9 on file? And that way you can go ahead and plan ahead and get that taken care of when you submit the voucher. So it'll be nice if you can submit it with the voucher or submit it before you do the voucher so that we can have it on file, okay? All right, the voucher requisition form, with that, we need you all to complete the information on the voucher requisition, including the voucher date, which is the date that you're submitting the voucher, the budget category number and name, which is what's assigned to your ministry, or the subcategory for that event or activity in your ministry. And you can get that information from your commissioner or ministry leader. Pay to the order of amount. The pay to the order of, that section is for whoever you're making the check out to, okay? The amount that you guys need to come out of your budget, and the description, which is very important. That's a mandatory field as well. Description includes describing what the services are for. What are you getting a check for? Who are you paying? Why are you paying? And what event is that voucher for? Okay. The invoice number or account number. This one is if applicable, because there is not always an invoice number or an account number. Okay. The due date, it should be at a minimum of 21 business days after the date the commissioner signs, dates, and submits the voucher requisition. And you guys will go through that process later in this presentation, so you'll be able to see. Oops, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. We'll go through that later in the process, so you'll see what that looks like. Who does it go through? Why does it take 21 business days after the commissioner approves it? The requested by is you, if you're filling out the voucher, of course. Your organization or ministry chair approval. you may not be the ministry leader, and so your ministry leader has to sign off on that before it can be approved and go to your commissioner. They'll actually submit it to the commissioner as well. The commission chair approval, if we don't see that signature, we don't move forward. So the commissioner has to sign off before we process your voucher. Church administrative review is the director of ministries and outreach office, which will be myself, for Reverend Clark, or Sister Dion is the events coordinator, who also, she backs me up when I'm out of the office, so she'll also take care of that. Okay. All vouchers must be approved and dated by your ministry leader, commissioner or designee, the director of ministries and outreach or designee. All relevant support should be attached, i.e. hotel contracts, invoices, receipts, estimates of costs from vendors, etc. A lot of persons will submit the voucher and they won't submit the backup, which will prolong your process of getting your check for your vendor or whomever. If there's no invoice, if there is no memo to file, then that means I'm going to have to now email your commissioner or reach out to you to say, we don't have this. So then that's going to be another delay for you to get that information to us. Really, it shouldn't be approved from your commissioner without that, but that does happen from time to time. So when that does happen, then I have to reach out to you all, which will add on to the time frame of when you get your check processed. Okay, the ministry head reviews the voucher for appropriateness, confirms with the budgeted activities for the ministry in the conference year, adequate support and completion of all the required fields. They'll sign and date the voucher and should contact their commissioner to agree upon where to leave the voucher for their review and approval. I.e., for example, would be the commissioner's mail slot. The ministry head would keep the gold copy of the hard copy voucher. They'll also, and if they're not doing a hard copy voucher, then they'll just submit it online for the electronic voucher. Okay, the commissioner. Does everyone know what a commissioner is? Okay, all right. The commissioner will review the voucher for completion and accurate information. They'll sign and date the voucher certifying that the requested funds relates to a budgeted project for the current conference year. You should keep the yellow copy of the commissioner will keep the yellow copy of the voucher for their records and for the remaining copies to the director of ministries and outreach designee. I'm sorry that I'm a little slow with the clicker. Okay. The director of ministries and outreach or designee will review for approval. They will sign and date certifying it for payment. And then we will keep the pink copy of the voucher and forward the white copy along with all support to the business office for payment. Okay. The business office will process your voucher and a check will be printed within 14 business days after the receipt date. We will the business office will email or call the commissioner or ministry head each Wednesday and Friday before the close of business that checks are available for pickup. Okay, the voucher requisition process. So the first step is that the ministry submits the voucher request form to the commissioner. Then the ministry office receives the request form from the commissioner. Next, the third step is that the business office, the next step is that the voucher request form moves through approval process in the ministry office. Typically, that'll be processed within 2 business days. Then next, the approved request form will be sent to the business office, and the voucher requisition form is processed and check is printed, typically processed in 5 business days. And lastly, the business office notifies commissioner and/or ministry head that the checks are available by pickup. And the voucher requisition process should take no more than 21 business days, and you see how that is set up for you guys. Okay. All right, the electronic voucher system. You guys can move to this document in your folder. So I have, when you open it up, you can see what it looks like. This is what it actually looks like when you go onto the website for the voucher requisition form, the electronic voucher requisition form. And it's actually really good and very efficient for you guys. I think it's better than a hard copy because you go in, you put your information in, and it goes directly to your commissioner. You don't have to wait for someone to come up and wait till they are actually here at the church and check the mailbox and then sign it and do whatever. It goes directly to them so they can check it at any time and send it over to me once it's completed. You see that there's the same areas that you have on the yeah. Oh, online, you'll see. Okay, when you go to the next page, I have the link for it. I'm confused. Yeah, I said to go to this document. This is the document you're looking for in that packet. Okay, I'm not actually going off of this now. I'm going through this document. That's why I asked you guys to open this one up. Yeah. Oh, you all don't have that. Okay. All right, for those of you,
Which page are we saying we don't have?
so they don't have what it actually looks like. Because I've updated, okay. Can you look over and see if you see the updated copies? I have some over there too.
You have some?
Mm-hmm. Just look on that bottom tray. Sorry about that. Okay, so when you go to page 2 of the booklet, there are instructions for how you use the electronic voucher system. And I pretty much did it verbatim. So when you go through, you'll know what areas are required. I put that in red so you'll know which ones that need to be completed. You'll be surprised at how many persons still submit it and don't do what they're supposed to do with that. The form web address is actually there as well. What I suggest is that when you first visit that website, and I can send it to you electronically if you request it as well, so you don't have to type all that in. It's a lot to type in. When you first visit the website, bookmark it so that whenever you need to go back and look for it, you can go directly to it and you won't have a problem. Okay, so again, the voucher date is a required field so that we'll know when it was received. When you guys actually submitted it. The budget category name and number. When you go into the electronic voucher system, you don't have to go look for a file or find out what your information is. It's already there. So you'll just hit the drop-down button. There's a drop-down menu there for you guys to be able to There's a drop-down menu for you guys to be able to find what your commissioner is, what your budget number and budget name is. You don't have to remember anything. It's all there for you, okay? The pay to the order, you put that information in there as we talked about earlier, your reason for payment. Here in the electronic voucher versus the hard copy voucher, we ask you for a payment preference. And that would be a check, pay by credit card. So those are your two payment preferences. And you'll just click the drop-down button to get that information. Your invoice number and account number, as I said, that's if it's applicable to you. Your due date should be completed as well. Most people don't change it, but it should be changed. It shouldn't stay the same. So, of course, the requested by is you. And we have information there for you to put in your phone number. This is also different from the hard copy voucher. is that you actually can put your phone number, your email address there so that we can reach out to you. We won't have to always go through your commissioner first in order to get to you. We can contact you directly if we have a problem. And this helps with getting your vouchers expedited and processed. Okay, you have an area for comments and special instructions. This is where you would put in your account information. If you're having it paid by credit card, you will put in any specific details, if it needs to be mailed to this person, or if this person needs to be contacted, or what mailbox to put it in. That's your opportunity to complete that there. You would key in your commissioner. You have to select that in order for it to go to your commissioner, okay? And then for the upload invoice field, I tried to put a sample of that here for you guys. Most people have trouble with that drag and drop. If you're not really a computer literate person, then you'll have problems with that. So what you do when you go into the electronic voucher system, when you get to that portion, you know where your documents folder is? You'll go to your documents folder where you saved your file on your computer. You'll pull that folder up, and then you're going to minimize that to make it, well, you don't even have to minimize it, actually. You can take it, you'll click on it, right-click on it, drag it, or left-click on it, drag it down to where your internet browser icon is. You may use Mozilla, you may use Internet Explorer or Chrome. You'll drag it, and you'll hold it over that icon at the bottom of your screen. Are you guys following me? Does it make sense? Okay. And then once you do that, then that'll open up back to the electronic voucher. And then you'll just drag it and you'll drop it into that field on here that says drag and drop.
I need a whole computer class now.
See, we also do the electronic voucher training separately so that, yeah, we usually do that separately as well. But if you have any questions, if you need any help, I can do the one-on-one with you guys. You can call in, and I'll help you guys with that, okay?
Well, you know I have trouble. I had to ask you to how to turn my phone down.
Yes, Sister Loretta?
For someone that doesn't have a scanner, can you use that screenshot or whatever?
Mm-hmm. You can screenshot it. It's control print screen. And then you'll just take that and you'll paste it into a Word or PowerPoint document, and you save that as your as a JPEG or as a file so that you can upload it to your invoice. So again, for those of you who may be doing a shopping cart or something and you don't know how to scan the document, you can hit Control, Print Screen. Those are the two buttons on your keyboard that you will push. Then you'll take that, you'll go and you'll right-click onto you'll open up a document in Microsoft or PowerPoint, right-click, paste it, and then save that for your backup. Okay?
I just want to add on to your last statement that if you use a MacBook, it's Command-Shift-4 to screenshot.
Okay. To screenshot. Command-Shift-4 if you're using a Mac. Okay, MacBook.
But control print, won't that make it print?
No.
I just hit the print screen and it doesn't.
So it does it without having to do the control? Okay, so some may do it without having to do it. I guess they've, with the new technology, they're making it more convenient for everyone now, so you don't have to go through all of that. Yes.
So, question, I have two questions here about this. So I saw it was a new option now, when you pick the payment preference, like it has already a fourth option now that says like put in ministry mailbox.
Right, we just added that in the electronic voucher training that we had at the ministry roundtable discussion. We just put that option there. That was something that was brought up, that we can put that there. So even if you're picking up, maybe you're not coming to pick it up from the business office or myself, you may want to pick it up from your mailbox. So now we've added that option for you guys as well. Right, correct. And I'm sorry, before, with that, where it asks you for the special instructions, you'll put that it should go into, because not everyone has a mailbox, so you may want to say put it in your commissioner's mailbox. Okay?
And They mentioned like, when we do the voucher, we're the only ones that are giving them hard copy checks, normally they can get stuff direct deposit, is that an option that we can do?
If they're on the church's payroll, then usually Brother Lamont doesn't give them a hard copy. If they're actually on the church's payroll, they won't get a hard copy voucher check. It'll go into their payroll, but they won't get it when you say that they need to get it. They will get it on the next payroll cycle. Yeah, it'll go in with that. If you run into an issue, if they run into an issue with that where it doesn't come into their account, just let us know and I'll check with Brother Lamont to remind him that that needs to be processed. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So once you upload it, there's going to be an option at the bottom. It's going to tell you, and I have everything written out for you in here as well. And it's going to tell you to upload. You hit upload, then once it uploads, it'll tell you once it's completed and finished. We were having problems where you couldn't use Internet Explorer or Mozilla at first, but that is now working. That feature is now working for you as well on those internet browsers. Okay, and it'll give you an opportunity to review your answers to make sure everything is okay before you actually submit it. And then it'll go directly to your commissioner. Once your commissioner gets it, your commissioner will forward it to me and say that it's approved. Once I receive it, I'll print it off and I'll process it. And I always, because I know with that system, you don't know where it is in the process, so I will send you a confirmation and let you know that it's been processed and submitted over to the business office. So if you don't hear anything back after a week, because what happens is a lot of people wait until their event gets here. So they may have put something in a month early. And then when their event gets here, the day before their event, they're checking on everything. And then they're like, oh, well, is my check ready? Maybe I didn't receive it. Maybe we missed it. I don't know. But if you're going to do that, if you don't hear back from me within a week of submitting that information over to your commissioner, or you don't hear back from your commissioner, then you should call and check in with us to make sure that we actually received it and that it's being processed. If we run into issues, we always call you and let you know, but sometimes we're human and it's technology and things fall through the cracks. Something may go wrong with the system, so just, if you don't hear back from me, just reach out and make sure that I received it. And if I didn't receive it, I'll reach out to your commissioner to get the approval or get that information and we'll process it. Okay? All right, now we're at our action plan section. Okay. The action plan submission policy is that all ministries must submit an action plan, and I have attached that as well. You'll see that document included in your folder. But all ministries must submit an action plan for all ministry programs, events, or activities other than regular ministry meetings, gatherings, or recurring weekly evangelistic and missions outreach. The examples are feeding the homeless, street witnessing, etc., to their commissioner for review and approval no later than 90 days prior to the program, event, or activity. Any questions on that part?
Is this online also,
No.
the action plan?
No, it's not online. What I can do is I can email you all those documents so you'll have them for your,
Like a template?
yes, we have,
Type in?
yep, I can send you the template. You'll see there's a template, even though there's a sample behind that, you'll have the template as well to complete. A blank template. You see it the next page? There's the,
Yeah, but they're not blank, it's not blank. It's
oh, so yours is incomplete then, yeah.
But it would be nice to have.
But I'll make sure that I send that information out to you all. If you filled out if you signed in, if you didn't put your email down, just make sure you put that down before you leave so that I can send it to you. Make sure it's legible too, so that I can read it as well. Okay. Ministries are strongly encouraged to submit the action plans for larger programs, events, or activities requiring $10,000 or more to their commissioner at least 180 days prior to the program, event, or activity. Any action plan that is submitted less than 90 days prior to the program, event, or activity is subject to immediate cancellation by the Commissioner and Director of Ministries and Outreach. We get that a lot, that persons send the information in, and they usually send it 2 weeks, a week before their program, which doesn't give Reverend Clark any time to review it or make sure that the calendar dates work or anything like that. So it's 90 days is when we should be receiving those forms.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, yeah. The action plan is intended as a planning document for events to thoroughly plan for a successful event. This includes timelines for various processes of the church, i.e. request forms, vouchers, etc. With it being a planning document, this helps you all when we were talking about earlier with the food request forms, where persons plan for an event, but they don't think about the food. If you complete the action plan, you can thoroughly plan for that. You can thoroughly plan for the processes of the churches as well. When should you put your, if this is a date you're looking at, if you're looking for a date in October, from that date, or the 3 dates that you put in place, from those dates, you should go backwards 90 days for that voucher, or for the action plan to be submitted. But you should go back further than that to actually complete the action plan to submit it to your commissioner, so that you can plan for those things. And if you do it in advance, if Reverend Clark sees, when he's reviewing it, if there's an issue and he pushes it back and he says, this isn't going to work because this date is not available, or it's not going to work because you didn't put enough detail in there, or you can't do this, you'll have time to revise it and send it back in for approval and get everything processed in a timely fashion so you can have your event. Request forms are still required to be completed. So although you do the action plan, some persons think that because they put all the information in the action plan, that we're supposed to take that document and go ahead and execute the room assignments, and whether they need digital presentation, Angelos, because they put it in their timeline that they need Angelo services, they're going to need specific room or whatever. It doesn't work that way. So this is just a planning document for you all. You still have to fill out the room request form. If you need an announcement made, you'll still have to do the announcement forms, et cetera, okay? The action.
Yeah, I just want to chime in on this one. This one is critical right here, because we'll follow up and do a quick piece on the request form. But the action plan must be approved by the commissioner in our office first. Don't initiate the request form for an activity that's in the future or that is not a recurring type, does not adhere to the action plan policy. If it's not a recurring ministry week type of thing and it requires an action plan, you got to get that approved first. Once you get the approval that's a done deal, then you want to submit the request form for space, food, or all the other additional things that are required to have a successful event. But you got to get that action plan in. And really, we got that. We had a ministry that helped us, prepare this document, certified event planners who actually prepared this document. And they're trying to help us to move forward, to do what we need to do to be, this five-star organization. I mean, you look at some of the ministries in our area, they are already talking about what they're doing in 2017. And we're trying to, push ourselves ahead so that we're ahead of the game and we're getting the word out there. We have a target audience that we're touching, and we're getting the word out there, and folks have time to adjust their calendars and so forth to attend. So that action plan is just critical at this particular point. And it demonstrates, in fact, for us, before we put on the calendar, that there have been adequate planning by the ministries. It's not just something that you're shooting off the hip. No, it's something that you looked at your budget proposal and you said, no, this is going to work for our ministry. This is going to work for our church. This is going to work for our community. That type of thing. So the investment of planning time is really the key. And that's the part we want to, make sure that we have that.
So Reverend Clark, how long does it, or Sophia, whoever can answer the question, how long, when you put this in, because this is really like the start of everything. So how long does it take for you to get an approval back?
Yeah, we turn it around in less than a week generally.
Okay.
Yeah, we turn, once we get it out, once it goes to your commissioner now,
Okay, right,
and
right.
and I'll be honest, I have the monthly conversation with commissioners, they should be examining it in detail too, to make sure that, even, there's an area in there with, it talks about marketing. Do you have all the potential marketing stream? A lot of times folks forget about the, social media potential. Reed Temple has a vibrant social media, population that we can touch base. So that needs to be listed. Oftentimes I'm having to kick that back to say, hey, let's touch, everybody when we're trying to get our information out there. So yeah, generally a week or less, quite honestly.
Okay. All right, and with the action plan, we ask that you put 3 dates down as well, just like the request form, because if Reverend Clark is reviewing it, he's reviewing to see if it works with our church calendar. And again, it'll prevent you guys it'll prevent us from having to reach back out to you and prolonging the process more, because this event date doesn't work. But if you give us 3 options, then we can work with that. So you should be putting 3 dates down, at least 3 dates down. Okay. And you see the copy of the samples in your booklet as well. So this is the sample. Okay. All right, well, thank you. That will conclude my portion. Any questions?
Is it possible that we can get, a copy of your PowerPoint, just so that the rest of our team can see in black and white with the information? Even if it's a PDF file of it or something, just so that,
I'll be honest, I gotta say no, because we would like, I think the folder that we provided to everyone, I think that's enough for a person to walk through with their team. Particularly, now this is our suggestion to our ministries, and I got a commissioner here to support that. There should be a leadership team. This should not have to go to every member of the ministry.
oh, that's what I'm referring to the leadership.
Yeah, I think the documentation is sufficient enough to walk them through. Now, if they want to come and talk about the electronic voucher process, that's fine. They get with Sister Sophia, and she'll walk them through the process until they're comfortable with that kind of training. But we don't, quite honestly, we don't want to release our copy.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. And we are diligent. Oh, thank you. Yes. And while we provide the trainings and the discussions, like the ministry roundtable discussion, don't feel that you have to wait until these organized events in order to give your concerns and your questions. If you experience what you've experienced, two times in 2 years in a row, that's a problem. And you don't have to wait until you get in this environment. It is a safe environment, but feel free to email us or give us a call, let us know what's going on, and we'll do our best to resolve it. If you have growing needs, email us. You don't have to wait until that once or twice a year. You have a whole year that you can reach out to us, and we're open to hear you and to try to resolve your issues. We're for you guys. We're for the ministry succeeding. We're for the events succeeding, and you guys impacting lives for the kingdom and for Reed Temple's purposes. So feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, and I echo